There is a country on the northeastern shoulder of South America that most of the world has never heard of. It has no famous ruins, no iconic skyline, no landmark that appears on a million refrigerator magnets. What it has is something rarer than all of those things combined. It has its forests. Nearly 87% of Guyana's territory is still covered by intact tropical rainforest, one of the highest percentages of any nation on Earth. In a century that has watched forest after forest fall to chainsaws and cattle and fire, Guyana stands as something almost impossible, a country where the wilderness is still winning. It is a place where rivers run black as ink or gold as honey, depending on what they have passed through, where savannas meet jungle at sharp, improbable edges, where ancient tabletop mountains, called tepuis, rise from the forest floor like the ruins of a civilization built by giants. This is Guyana, South America's hidden Eden, the forgotten frontier of the Amazon world, and it is changing. Not quickly enough for the headlines, not dramatically enough for the evening news, but changing in ways that the animals and the plants and the rivers understand long before any human scientist arrives to measure them. Global temperatures are rising. Rainfall patterns that have governed this forest for millions of years are shifting. Droughts that once lasted weeks now stretch into months. Floods arrive with a force the old river channels were never built to contain. The hidden Eden is still here, still vast, still extraordinarily alive, but the heat is rising and the clock is ticking. This is the story of Guyana and of what the world stands to lose if we look away. Where the forest meets the river's edge and the bank flattens into a wide fringe of grass and mudflat, the capybara holds court. The world's largest rodent stands about 2 feet tall, roughly 60 centimeters, at the shoulder, and can weigh over 140 pounds, about 65 kilograms, a barrel of muscle and fur that moves through the world with the unhurried confidence of an animal that has very little to fear and almost nothing to prove. Capybaras live in groups of 10 to 30 individuals along Guyana's river margins, families in the truest sense, structured around a dominant male whose position is maintained not through constant violence, but through a steady, unambiguous presence. They are famous across the animal world for being extraordinarily tolerant of other species. Capybaras land on their backs and search their fur for insects. Monkeys climb across them without invitation and without consequence. Small caimans, young ones, not yet large enough to be a threat, bask in the grass beside them, and the capybaras do not move. It is as if they have simply decided, at some point in their evolutionary history, that aggression costs more than it gains, and that a body this large, standing next to a deep river into which it can disappear in seconds, has better options than fighting. When danger comes, a jaguar moving through the tree line, a caiman sliding from the bank into deeper water with that particular purposeful silence, the capybara's response is immediate and total. A bark, short and sharp as a gunshot, fires through the group. Every animal turns toward the river, and then they are gone. 30 massive bodies hitting the water at speed, diving deep, staying under for minutes if necessary, sleeping if they must beneath floating mats of aquatic grass until the threat has moved on. They can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes, They can sleep underwater, nostrils barely breaking the surface. The river is not their escape route, it is their home. But the river is changing. In Guyana, flooding events are intensifying. Rainfall that once arrived in predictable seasonal patterns now comes in violent pulses, weeks of drought followed by days of flooding that rise faster and higher than the Capybaras riverbank communities have ever learned to manage. Riverbank vegetation, the grasses and sedges and shallow-rooted plants that capybaras depend on for food, is being stripped by flash floods and then baked by the droughts that follow. The capybara is not a species in danger of extinction. Its range across South America is vast, and its adaptability is real. But in Guyana's changing floodplains, it is already learning to navigate a river that no longer behaves the way it used to. In the filtered light beneath the canopy, something moves that does not appear to obey the normal rules. It hovers, it reverses, it accelerates from a standing stop to 30 miles per hour, nearly 50 kilometers per hour, in a distance shorter than your outstretched arm. The hummingbird, Guyana hosts more than 100 species of them, is the most metabolically expensive creature on the planet relative to its body size. To fuel its wings, which beat up to 80 times per second and produce the vibrating hum that gives this bird its name, a hummingbird must consume up to twice its own body weight in nectar every single day. It visits hundreds of flowers in a single morning. It maps those flowers in its extraordinary spatial memory and returns to productive sources with an efficiency that rivals a computer routing algorithm. In Guyana's forests, hummingbirds are not merely beautiful, they are essential. The flowers they visit, the long, tubular, vividly colored blossoms of the forest understory, have co-evolved with specific hummingbird species over millions of years. The bill shape of one species matches the curve of one flower with a precision that makes them dependent on each other for survival. No hummingbird, no pollination, no seeds, no next generation of trees. Global warming threatens this relationship in ways that are still being measured, but are already being felt. Hummingbirds and the flowers they pollinate do not respond to rising temperatures at the same rate. As conditions shift, Flowers may bloom earlier or later than the hummingbirds expect. The narrow window of synchronization that millions of years of coevolution produced can be disrupted by a shift of just a few weeks in the timing of the seasons. In areas of Guyana that have experienced the most dramatic rainfall disruptions, researchers have begun to document mismatches, hummingbirds arriving at traditional feeding areas to find the flowers already finished, or flowers blooming weeks before the hummingbirds return from their altitudinal movements. Each mismatch is small. Each one is survivable, but they are accumulating. And in the ledger of ecological debt that climate change is running up against these forests, mismatches between pollinators and flowers are one of the entries that will be very difficult to repay. The Essequibo River, the great artery of Guyana, moves south to north across the entire country, over 600 miles, roughly 1,000 kilometers, from its headwaters in the Acarai Mountains to its mouth at the Atlantic coast. In its waters, beneath the surface that reflects the canopy above, the piranha has been building its reputation for a very long time. The reputation is mostly wrong. The piranha is not a mindless killing machine that will strip a human being to the bone in 30 seconds. It is a highly intelligent, socially complex fish that schools in groups of 20 to 100 individuals, not to maximize predation, but to reduce the risk of being eaten by the much larger predators. Giant river otters, black caimans, and river dolphins that prey on it. It feeds primarily on other fish, on insects that fall onto the water surface, on seeds and fruit that drop from overhanging trees, and on carrion, the dead and dying animals that the river constantly delivers to those patient enough to wait. In its role as the Amazon's primary carrion processor, the piranha performs an ecological function of enormous importance, breaking down dead organic matter, recycling nutrients, keeping the river's bacterial load from overwhelming the system. Its teeth, which are triangular and razor-edged and replace themselves continuously throughout the piranha's lifetime, are designed for cutting. One bite, clean, efficient. The sound of a piranha school feeding on a large carcass is unforgettable, a boiling, splashing, churning sound, like a pot of water reaching violent boil, the water turning opaque with blood, and then clearing again within minutes as the school disperses, satisfied. Climate change is altering the Essequibo and Guyana's other great rivers in ways that the piranha and everything that depends on it must now navigate. Rising temperatures warm the river water, and warmer water holds less dissolved oxygen. piranha, like all fish, breathe through gills that extract oxygen from water. As oxygen levels fall, fish behavior changes, feeding ranges shift, and populations concentrate in the coolest, most oxygenated stretches of river, competing with each other and with other species for shrinking resources. The Essequibo is also experiencing more intense seasonal variation, longer dry seasons that concentrate fish in shrinking pools and expose them to predation stress, followed by more violent flood pulses that scatter established populations and disrupt breeding cycles. In Guyana's rivers, the piranha endures, but the water it swims in is not the water its ancestors knew. Before we go further, we must dispel a beautiful myth. The black panther does not exist, not as a separate species, not as a distinct animal. What the world calls a black panther is simply a jaguar, or in some parts of the world, a leopard, carrying a rare genetic variant that causes overproduction of dark pigment in the skin and fur. In the dim, perpetually shadowed understory of Guyana's dense rainforest, this variant is not a disadvantage. It is not even conspicuous. In the deep forest, where sunlight filters through a canopy 60 feet, roughly 18 meters overhead, in fragmented, shifting patches, a coat of pure black absorbs rather than reflects, disappears rather than announces. The melanistic jaguar, the so-called black panther of South America, moves through Guyana's forests like a piece of the darkness that has decided to go for a walk. Its rosette markings are still there. In the right light, at the right angle, you can see them. Ghost patterns beneath the black, the animal's true identity visible only to those patient enough to wait for the light to shift. Jaguars and their melanistic variants are the apex predators of the Guyanese forest, and their presence in a landscape is one of the most reliable indicators of ecosystem health that ecology has produced. A forest with jaguars has prey populations large enough to sustain them. It has a food web intact enough from bottom to top to support an animal that needs vast territories, up to 50 square miles, about 130 square kilometers for a single individual, to sustain itself. Climate change threatens the jaguar's role in Guyana's forests through a mechanism that operates slowly and invisibly, far below the level of individual drama. As temperatures rise, certain prey species shift their ranges to find cooler microhabitats, moving upslope on the Tapirs, retreating into gallery forests along the rivers, concentrating in areas where the canopy is still thick enough to provide shade. The jaguar follows. It must. But those prey concentrations also mean hunting pressure intensifies in shrinking areas. Prey populations decline faster. The jaguar's extraordinary territorial needs, those vast home ranges that a healthy forest can support, become harder and harder to satisfy. In the ledger of pressures building against Guyana's wilderness, this slow reorganization of predator-prey geography may be the entry that proves hardest to read until it is already too late. On a branch near the Rupununi River, something that looks like a heap of dead leaves is breathing, slowly, Very slowly, the three-toed sloth of Guyana has evolved a survival strategy so counterintuitive that it took scientists decades to fully appreciate it. In a forest where every calorie is contested, the sloth has decided that spending as few calories as possible is worth more than acquiring more of them. Its metabolic rate is so low, roughly 40% of what you would expect for a mammal of its size, that it can survive on leaves that no other mammal can extract enough nutrition from to sustain itself. Leaves that are toxic, fibrous, low in protein, and almost entirely devoid of the sugars that most animals require. The sloth can take a month to digest a single meal. It moves, on average, about 40 yards, roughly 35 meters per day, less than the length of an Olympic swimming pool. Its fur grows in the opposite direction from other mammals, from belly to back rather than back to belly, because the sloth spends so much of its life hanging upside down that conventional fur direction would funnel rain into its face rather than away from it. And that fur is not simply fur, it is an ecosystem. The sloth's coat harbors algae that grow nowhere else on Earth, specialized green algae that tint the fur with a faint greenish cast in the right light, providing camouflage the sloth itself has not evolved, but that has evolved on it, in a relationship of mutual benefit, so old that the algae and the sloth have become dependent on each other. Fungi live in the fur as well, beetles that exist nowhere else, moths that lay their eggs exclusively in sloth dung, an entire community of microorganisms that have evolved in the sloth's fur the way a coral reef community evolves on a particular rock, because the sloth is, in ecological terms, a habitat as much as it is an animal. Climate change threatens the sloth through a mechanism as quiet as the animal itself. Rising temperatures mean more frequent and more severe droughts in Guyana's forests. Droughts stress the trees that sloths depend on for both food and shelter. Stressed trees produce leaves with higher concentrations of defensive chemicals, toxins meant to deter the insects and mammals that feed on them. For the sloth's extraordinarily slow digestive system, already operating at the very edge of what is nutritionally viable, an increase in leaf toxicity is not a minor challenge. It may be, for some populations, the final one. The jaguar is not patient in the way that patience implies effort. It is patient the way a river is patient, simply existing in its nature, fully committed to stillness, until the moment arrives when movement is everything. It can wait motionless beside a river crossing for 4 hours, 6 hours, long enough that the capybara on the opposite bank has forgotten it exists, long enough that the caiman in the shallows has resumed its own indifferent surveillance of the water, long enough that the forest has accepted the jaguar as part of the landscape, and then it moves. single explosive commitment of every muscle in a body that can weigh over 200 pounds, roughly 90 kilograms, launched from a standing start, covering ground in bounds that seem to contradict the physics of a creature this large. Unlike lions and tigers, which kill by clamping the throat and waiting, the jaguar kills with a bite to the skull. It pierces bone, the temporal bone or the brainstem, with a bite force that is the most powerful of any big cat relative to its skull size. Death is instant. The prey has no time to understand what has happened. In Guyana, the jaguar's diet is extraordinarily varied. Capybara, peccary, deer, tapir, caiman, turtles, fish, and almost anything else that crosses its territory when hunger is present. It swims rivers as casually as it walks forest trails, using watercourses as both highways and hunting grounds. It climbs trees to ambush prey from above and to drag kills beyond the reach of scavengers below. It is the jaguar's ecological role as the top-down regulator of the prey community that makes its presence in Guyana's forests so critical to the system as a whole. A forest without jaguars is not a forest with one less predator. It is a forest with a broken regulatory mechanism, prey populations that expand beyond the ecosystem's carrying capacity, vegetation that is overconsumed, riverbanks that collapse when capybara and peccary herds grow too large and too concentrated. As climate change reshapes the distribution of prey across Guyana's landscapes, the jaguar is adapting, ranging further, spending more time along the river margins where prey concentrations remain highest, shifting its activity patterns to avoid the hottest parts of days that are becoming consistently hotter than its evolutionary history has prepared it for. It is adapting, but adaptation has limits, and the jaguar, like everything else in this forest, is running against a clock that was set by human decisions made very far from here. In the mid-levels of the canopy, between the dark understory and the sunlit emergent layer above, the capuchin monkey operates with an intelligence that primatologists have spent decades trying to fully characterize. The white-faced capuchin of Guyana's forests, a small-bodied animal weighing perhaps 7 or 8 pounds, about 3 to 4 kilograms, uses tools, not in the metaphorical sense, not in the sense of using a rock for shelter. It selects stones of specific weights and textures, carries them to locations where hard-shelled nuts are abundant, and uses them as hammers and anvils with a precision and a learned technique that is passed from adults to juveniles through sustained observation and practice. It rubs certain insects against its fur, insects that release chemicals toxic to the mites and parasites that live in primate coats, in a form of self-medication that was documented only in the last 30 years and is still not fully understood. It forms alliances. It remembers debts and betrayals across years. It makes decisions about resource sharing that reflect an understanding of reputation and reciprocity that primatologists once believed to be exclusively human. And it is a seed disperser of enormous ecological importance, consuming fruit across vast areas of its home range and depositing seeds in its dung far from the parent tree, in the precise locations, sunny gaps in the canopy, disturbed soils, stream margins, where those seeds have the best chance of becoming the next generation of forest. The capuchin's intelligence makes it one of the most behaviorally flexible mammals in Guyana's forests. When food sources shift, it finds alternatives. When territories are disrupted by flooding or drought, it reorganizes. But behavioral flexibility has limits that even the capuchin's remarkable brain cannot exceed. As climate change intensifies the variability of fruit production in Guyana's forests, as dry periods interrupt the synchronized fruiting events that capuchins depend on for the nutritional peaks that allow breeding and infant rearing, the cognitive demands on each individual increase. More decisions, more searching, more competition. And for the infants being raised in this increasingly unpredictable forest, infants who need years of nutritional support to develop the brain capacity that makes capuchin intelligence possible in the first place, an increasingly unpredictable food supply is not merely an inconvenience. It is a developmental constraint on the next generation's ability to cope with a world that will require all the intelligence this species can muster. At the very top of the emergent layer, where the tallest trees break through the general canopy surface into open sky, there is a nest. It is enormous, 5 feet, roughly 1.5 meters across, built from sticks the diameter of a human wrist, occupied continuously for years, located in a tree that the owners of this nest have selected with the precision that comes from knowing exactly what they need. The harpy eagle is the largest, most powerful bird of prey in the Western Hemisphere. Its body, standing nearly 3.5 feet, just over a meter tall, with a wingspan of 6 to 7 feet, roughly 2 meters, is built not for speed in open air, but for power and maneuverability in the three-dimensional obstacle course of the forest canopy. Its talons are the size of a grizzly bear's claws. Each rear talon can reach up to 5 inches, about 13 centimeters in length, and the gripping force behind them is strong enough to crush the spine of a monkey or the skull of a sloth with a single, instantaneous contraction. The harpy hunts in silence. Its facial disc, the flat, dish-shaped arrangement of feathers around its face, functions like a satellite dish, concentrating sound toward its ears with extraordinary precision, allowing it to detect the movement of a sloth 300 feet, about 90 meters below, through a canopy so dense that the sloth is completely invisible to the unaided eye. It dives at speeds approaching 50 miles per hour, roughly 80 kilometers per hour, and kills on contact. The sloth does not know it is being watched. The sloth does not know it is falling. The sloth simply stops being alive in a transition so fast that the nervous system has no time to process the event. In Guyana, the harpy eagle is an indicator species of the first importance, an animal so demanding in its requirements that its presence in a landscape guarantees a minimum level of ecological integrity below it. A harpy-eagle pair requires a home range of several thousand acres, thousands of hectares of intact forest. They raise only one chick every 2 to 3 years, one of the slowest reproductive rates of any bird on Earth. This means that every harpy eagle in Guyana's forest represents years of successful breeding, years of adequate prey populations, years of intact canopy that has not been fragmented or degraded, and it means that when a harpy eagle disappears from a territory, as they are disappearing slowly but documentably from the warming, drying margins of Guyana's forest, it will take a very long time to replace. At the edge of the Rupununi savanna, where the forest gives way to open grassland and the red earth bakes in the afternoon sun, a silhouette moves that seems assembled from incompatible parts. A body the size of a medium dog, a tail like a floor mop, long and dense and flagging in the breeze, and a snout, absurdly, improbably elongated, that extends nearly 3 feet, roughly 90 centimeters from the face, ending in a mouth the width of a finger. The giant anteater of Guyana's savannas and forest edges consumes up to 35,000 ants and termites per day. It does this without teeth. Its 2 foot long, roughly 60 centimeters tongue, coated in sticky saliva and capable of flicking in and out of an ant nest up to 150 times per minute, is the instrument. The jaw is simply the housing to protect the enormous curved claws it uses to tear open rock-hard termite mounds, claws that can be 4 inches long, about 10 centimeters. It walks on its knuckles, the claws folded under, preserving them for the work they were made for. The giant anteater's ecological role in Guyana's grassland and forest edge ecosystem is not immediately visible, but it is profound. By opening termite mounds and ant colonies, structures that can be incredibly hard and can house millions of individuals, the anteater creates access points for dozens of other species that cannot break through the mound's exterior on their own. Its birds follow the anteater to catch the insects fleeing the opened mound. Smaller mammals exploit the disturbed soil for seeds and invertebrates. The mound's organic structure, dispersed and aerated by the anteater's foraging, accelerates nutrient cycling in soils that would otherwise be too compacted for rapid decomposition. Climate change is expanding Guyana's dry season, the period when the savanna bakes and the termite mounds seal themselves more tightly, and the soil becomes harder and less productive. For the giant anteater, whose entire existence is built around finding, opening, and exploiting termite and ant colonies with maximum efficiency, a drier, harder landscape means more energy spent per calorie obtained. It is an arithmetic that, at some point, stops working. The ocelot operates at the level of the forest that the jaguar and fossa ignore, the middle register of the ecosystem, where medium-sized prey is abundant and competition from the largest predators is minimal. It is about 3 feet long, roughly 90 centimeters, not counting the tail, and weighs between 18 and 40 pounds, about 8 to 18 kilograms, small enough to move through vegetation that slows or stops the jaguar, large enough to take prey that smaller cats cannot handle. Its coat is arguably the most beautiful of any wild cat, a tawny gold background covered in dark-edged rosettes and streaks that dissolve into the fractured light of the forest floor, with an effectiveness that makes it almost literally invisible when it is still. The ocelot hunts primarily on the ground, but climbs with ease, swims without hesitation, and has been observed taking prey as diverse as iguanas, fish, land crabs, rabbits, and birds. It is a dietary generalist in a world where dietary generalism is a survival advantage, because the ocelot does not depend on the abundance of any single prey species. When rodent populations crash in a drought year, the ocelot switches to reptiles. When river levels drop and expose fish in shallow pools, the ocelot fishes. When fruit bats concentrate around fruiting trees, the ocelot waits beneath and takes them as they land. This flexibility has made the ocelot one of the most resilient medium-sized predators in Guyana's forests in the face of environmental variability. But flexibility is not immunity. As the seasons in Guyana become more extreme, longer dry periods concentrating prey, followed by violent flood pulses that scatter them, the ocelot's home territory must expand to contain the necessary prey density. Expanding territories means more overlap with other ocelots, more territorial conflict, higher energy costs for animals that were already working at their physical margins during the dry season. The ocelot survives. It is built to survive. But survival has a cost, and in a warming climate, that cost is being paid in the currency of reproductive success. in the number of kittens raised per year, in the survival rate of juveniles, in the slow, invisible decline of populations that appear stable right up to the moment they are not. Before dawn, before the sun has cleared the forest to the east, the howler monkey announces the day. The sound is not a howl, not exactly. It is deeper and more resonant than any word implies, a rolling, amplified bellow that rises from the throat of an adult male like the growl of a large engine, bouncing off the canopy, carrying for 2 miles, about 3 kilometers, through still morning air. The red howler of Guyana, its fur a deep, rich auburn that catches the early light in the highest branches like something set on fire from within, uses this call not to attract mates, but to negotiate space. Territory in the howler monkey world is managed acoustically. 2 groups that would risk injury in physical conflict instead shout at each other from their respective trees at dawn, each group establishing its presence and claiming its feeding grounds for the day. It is a remarkably efficient system. The loudest, deepest, most sustained group wins the negotiation. Physical violence is rare. The male's hyoid bone, a specialized bone at the base of the throat that is enlarged in howlers beyond any other primate, acts as a resonating chamber, amplifying the voice to a volume that can, at close range, cause physical discomfort in human ears. Scientists have measured it at over 90 decibels at 20 feet, roughly 6 meters, comparable to a passing motorcycle. In Guyana's intact forest, howler monkey populations serve as critical indicators of canopy health. They feed almost exclusively on leaves, which means they are not seed dispersers in the traditional sense, but they are browsers that regulate the growth of particular tree species by preferentially consuming the leaves of certain plants, maintaining the competitive balance of the canopy community above them. Climate change affects the howler through the trees. As temperatures rise and dry periods extend, the leaf chemistry of the trees that howlers feed on changes. Leaves produced under heat stress and water deficit contain higher concentrations of tannins and other defensive compounds. The tree's response to increased insect pressure under stressful conditions. For the howler, which has one of the most specialized digestive systems of any primate, designed to process difficult, low-nutrient, chemically defended leaves, an increase in leaf toxicity across its food supply is not trivially manageable. It means less nutrition per leaf, more leaves required to meet daily needs, more time feeding, less time resting, a metabolic balance that was already tight becoming progressively tighter. The howler monkey's voice carries across Guyana's forest each morning, as it always has, but the trees it calls from are under a pressure that the forest has never heard before. The giant river otter of Guyana is not an animal that does anything quietly. It is nearly 6 feet long, roughly 180 centimeters from nose to tail tip, weighs up to 70 pounds, about 32 kilograms, and moves through the water with a speed and directional agility that makes the piranha, supposedly the terror of the river, look like a slow and somewhat nervous fish. It hunts in coordinated family groups, typically a breeding pair and 2 or 3 generations of their offspring, driving fish schools into shallow water, communicating in a vocabulary of screams, squeaks, and whistles that carries far enough across the water to give the group range of nearly 100 yards, roughly 90 meters, while maintaining coordinated pursuit. The noise is extraordinary. The giant river otter is sometimes called the river wolf in local languages, a reference not to appearance, but to the sheer boisterous, aggressive, communal energy of a family group in pursuit of fish. They eat up to 9 pounds, roughly 4 kilograms of fish per individual per day. They carve campsites into the riverbank, areas of cleared vegetation where the family sleeps, rears its pups, and maintains the scent markings that establish territory against other otter families. In Guyana, giant river otters are both a charismatic flagship species for ecotourism and an ecological indicator of river health. Because an apex aquatic predator this demanding cannot survive in a river that has lost its fish populations. Climate change is altering the rivers the giant otter depends on in multiple compounding ways. Higher temperatures mean less dissolved oxygen. Less dissolved oxygen means fish populations concentrate in cooler tributaries and deeper channels, and the shallow oxbow lakes and river margins where otters hunt most effectively become less productive. More intense droughts concentrate the otter families into smaller patches of viable habitat, increasing territorial conflict and reducing the prey base available to each family. And more intense floods disturb the riverbank campsites where pups are raised, washing away sites that have been used for generations, forcing families to establish new territories in areas that may already be claimed. The giant river otter is listed as endangered globally. Its population in Guyana, one of the largest remaining populations on Earth, is one of conservation's most important responsibilities. It is also one of climate change's most visible and heartbreaking victims in progress. In the dark water of the Rupununi's Oxbow Lakes, something that looks like a floating log is doing nothing at all. It has been doing nothing at all for 4 hours. The black caiman of Guyana can reach 15 feet in length, roughly 4.5 meters, and weigh over 900 pounds, about 400 kilograms. It is the apex aquatic predator of the Amazon basin, larger than any crocodilian outside of Africa, older in its lineage than the dinosaurs whose cousins it survived. It does not rush. It does not need to. Its ambush is perfect stillness, the patience of an animal whose metabolism is so efficient that it can sustain itself on a single large meal for weeks, lying in the shallows with its back barely breaking the surface, its eyes and nostrils positioned at the very top of its skull, reading the water's surface tension for the footstep of a tapir at the drinking edge, the belly flop of a capybara entering the river, the shallow passage of a fish school through the warm shallows. When the caiman moves, it moves with a violence that overmatches the impression of its rest. A tail strike that can knock a full-grown man airborne, a jaw closure so fast the eye cannot track it, with a bite force that exceeds 2,000 pounds per square inch, roughly 140 kilograms per square centimeter, enough to make the skull of a capybara or the carapace of a river turtle an irrelevance. In Guyana's rivers, the black caiman is both predator and scavenger, eating fish, mammals, birds, and carrion with the democratic appetite of an animal that has been solving the problem of aquatic predation for 200 million years and sees no reason to specialize when generalism works this well. The caiman is cold-blooded. It cannot regulate its own body temperature. This is, in the context of global warming, a vulnerability of the first order. As river temperatures rise, and they are rising measurably and consistently across the Amazon basin, the caiman's physiology, its behavior, and its reproductive biology respond in ways that are not all survivable. Caiman eggs are temperature sensitive at a level that makes sex determination dependent on nest temperature. In cooler conditions, more females hatch. In warmer conditions, more males hatch. As river temperatures continue to rise, caiman populations in some areas of the Amazon are already recording skewed sex ratios, more males, fewer females, reduced breeding potential, declining populations in rivers that were historically productive breeding habitat. It is a slow process. The caiman has survived ice ages and mass extinctions. It may surprise us, but it is a process that is already underway, and the animal doing nothing at all in the warm, dark water of the Oxbow Lake is navigating a temperature regime that its lineage has never encountered before. In the pre-dawn darkness of the forest interior, at the edge of a shallow stream, where the clay bank holds the footprints of dozens of previous visits, the tapir arrives. It moves with a heaviness that is somehow also a delicacy, a body that can weigh over 600 pounds, roughly 270 kilograms, placing each foot with a care that barely disturbs the leaf litter. The tapir looks like a thought experiment. What if you took the body of a very large pig, attached the nose of a small elephant, and then concluded the design with 4 surprisingly graceful legs? The result is an animal so ancient in its body plan that it appeared, essentially unchanged, in the fossil record before the Andes Mountains existed. It is the largest native land mammal in South America, and it may be the forest's most important gardener. The tapir eats fruit, leaves, aquatic plants, and bark, consuming enormous quantities and depositing the seeds of hundreds of plant species in its dung as it moves through its territory, which can cover several square miles. Unlike smaller seed dispersers, the tapir disperses large seeds, the seeds of the giant trees that form the structural backbone of the forest canopy, the seeds that smaller animals cannot swallow or carry, the seeds that require a large-bodied disperser to move them away from the parent tree and into the disturbed soils and sunny gaps where they have the best chance of germinating. Biologists call the tapir a megafaunal seed disperser, a species performing an ecological function for which no substitute exists. When tapirs disappear from a forest, the trees that depend on them for seed dispersal begin to reproduce less successfully. Over decades, the forest's species composition shifts towards smaller-seeded, smaller-bodied trees. The canopy becomes less diverse and less structurally complex. Climate change affects the tapir through its food and its water. Tapirs are highly dependent on water. They use rivers and streams for thermoregulation, for escape from predators, for mineral consumption from riverbank clay licks, and for the aquatic vegetation that forms a significant part of their diet. As Guyana's dry seasons intensify and river levels drop further and for longer, the network of water sources that tapirs navigate becomes sparser. The clay licks that provide essential minerals may dry out. The aquatic vegetation that supplements their diet disappears. The tapir moves further, spends more energy, has less left for reproduction, and the trees that depend on it begin almost imperceptibly to fall behind. Beneath the feet of every large animal in this story, in the leaf litter and the soil and the root systems of every tree, an empire is operating. The leafcutter ant colony, some Guyana colonies contain 8 million workers, organized into castes so specialized that the smallest workers are 400 times lighter than the largest soldiers, is one of the most sophisticated biological systems on Earth. The workers cut pieces of leaf, precisely sized, about half an inch, roughly 1 centimeter across, held above the head and carried in procession along trails that the colony maintains as cleared highways through the forest floor, sometimes stretching over 1,000 feet, roughly 300 meters, from the cutting site to the nest entrance. They do not eat the leaves. They bring the leaves underground into fungus chambers maintained at precise temperature and humidity, where a cultivated fungus, a species that leafcutters have been farming for 50 million years, a species that now exists nowhere in nature outside of leafcutter nests, digests the leaf material and produces the nutrient-rich bodies that feed the entire colony. The leafcutter ant is the forest's primary decomposer of living plant material, processing vast quantities of leaf biomass and returning its nutrients to the soil in forms that plant roots can absorb. Without leafcutter ants, the nutrient cycling of Guyana's forest would collapse. The soil would impoverish, the trees would thin, the entire system would become less productive, less resilient, less able to absorb the stresses that climate change is loading onto it. Global warming threatens the leafcutter through the fungus. The Leucoagdericus cultivar that leafcutters farm is temperature sensitive. The workers maintain their fungus chambers within a narrow thermal band, typically between 77 and 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 to 28 degrees Celsius, through a combination of chamber depth, ventilation behavior, and the metabolic heat of the colony itself. As surface temperatures rise, the thermal work required to maintain optimal fungus chamber conditions increases. The colony must dig deeper, ventilate more actively, expend more energy on temperature management. That energy must come from somewhere. It comes from leaf cutting. More leaf cutting to sustain more colony metabolism means more pressure on the forest's foliage. It is one of the countless small feedback loops that a warming world is tightening, in this forest and every other, in ways that no single observation captures and no single intervention can fully address. On the back of a capybara, standing knee-deep in the shallows of the Rupununi, a small bird is working. The yellow-billed oxpecker, not native to South America, it will appear in our film in the company of the mammals it serves, as nature's own editor, moves across the capybara's back with the efficient purposefulness of a professional engaged in a job it knows very well. It picks, it probes, it inserts its bill into the capybara's fur and extracts, with precision, the ticks, the flies, the mites, and the larvae of skin parasites that accumulate on the bodies of large mammals in the tropics faster than any mammal's own immune system can manage them. The capybara does not move. It knows what the bird is doing. The relationship between large mammal and oxpecker is one of the most visible examples of mutualism in the animal world. Both species benefit. Both species depend on the relationship, and the removal of either partner harms both. But the oxpecker does more than clean. It warns. When a predator approaches, the oxpecker launches from the host's back with an alarm call sharp enough to alert every large mammal in the vicinity. The capybara barks. The group moves to the water. The tapir at the next drinking spot lifts its head and turns toward the direction of the call. The oxpecker is, in this sense, a distributed alarm system, a network of sentinels stationed on the backs of the forest's largest animals, watching in every direction simultaneously, linking the safety of individual animals into the collective awareness of the entire community. In a warming world where heat stress increases parasite loads on mammals already under nutritional pressure, the oxpecker's role becomes more important, not less. But the oxpecker cannot compensate for the deeper stresses that climate change is placing on the mammals it serves. It can remove the ticks. It cannot remove the drought. It can warn of the jaguar. It cannot warn of the temperature trend that is slowly restructuring the forest around the jaguar's prey. It does what it has always done, faithfully and without ceasing, and it asks only that the mammals it serves and the forest those mammals depend on continue to exist. Guyana's hidden Eden is a critical part of the Amazon, the lungs of our Earth. Global warming endangers its animals, rivers, and ancient balance through shifting rains, heat, and habitat loss. We must act now. Support conservation, indigenous rights, and emission reductions. The heartbeat of this wild paradise must continue for all future generations.